Hey there guys, alright, today we are watching a video that popped up on my recommended feed, and it's not the usual, but you know what? Maybe we try and branch out to watching things that are not the norm on this channel. Maybe we turn a new leaf, I don't know. We'll see how you guys feel about me watching videos like this, and this is essentially maybe going into watching more video essays. I don't know. This is why Palpatine is the greatest movie villain ever. And I largely agree, up until the sequel trilogy. Sequel trilogy kind of ruined him. But if we ignore it, then we just do 1 through 6, yes. Just feels so threatening in 1 through 6, but I'm gonna not yap too much here at the beginning. We're gonna let the video essayist here give his thoughts, and we will see whether or not I agree or disagree on the points made. Now, Darth Vader is the greatest antagonist. Okay, let's make that clear. Darth Vader, best antagonist. He doesn't technically fit villain. I mean, he kind of fits villain, but he also doesn't. He kind of really only fits villain in episode 4. But even then, he's still kind of, the villain really is kind of more Grand Moff Tarkin, you could argue. And Vader kind of more fills the role of an antagonist that gets in the way of the protagonist. Anyways, dive in.
Just try. I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too.
Can you even have a great movie without a great villain? Okay, maybe you can, but it's not nearly as much fun.
I'm sending it back to hell where it belongs.
Were you in love with her, beast?
And that's true even for non-Disney movies.
Human beings define their reality through misery and suffering.
Is this your game?
I'm your #1 fan.
I won't touch Bart.
God, Michael B. Jordan killed it as Killmonger, man. Oh. Like, there are things wrong with Black Panther, but the dichotomy between T'Challa and Killmonger, I don't know if it's just the chemistry that the two actors had with one another that it elevated the scenes and the writing. But I love Killmonger and T'Challa on screen together.
Not until I make him kill you. Slowly. Intimately.
So it's no surprise that when 1,000 film industry pros were asked about the greatest villain of all time, their choice was Emperor Wait.
Good morning.
He's not even on the list?
Fools! Idiots! Imbeciles!
Could they really not find space for a villain who emerged from across the gulf of time to settle an epic grudge, hiding in plain sight until he could twist the hero of the movie into his personal pawn in order to enslave the universe to his will? What exactly is being overlooked here?
Okay, well, if it's filmmakers being asked this question, a lot of them are just fucking snobs, and that's largely why, right? And also, you know, movie Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones do not help the argument.
Is it the scope of Palpatine's plan? Because after all, a villain is only as good as his plan.
Do I really look like a guy with a plan?
By the time of the Phantom Menace, the Phantom Menace is about to execute the next step in his plan to take full control of the galaxy.
And look at that CGI, that still holds up, man, and that was 1999.
And no one has any idea. They're all way too focused on the political process to see Palpatine's scheme unfolding right before their eyes. Oh, hey, maybe they could start a YouTube channel.
His evil scheme is he really wants Queen Amidala to sign a paper.
I have never known the plot of this movie until now, after having watched this movie for 20 years.
Okay. I don't get it.
Imbeciles!
Unfortunately, Palpatine isn't the type to just drop out of the sky and announce his plan to destroy civilization.
You are about to die at the hands of the children of Thanos.
Why should he? He's got the Republic exactly where he wants it. And the Jedi think the Sith's return is
impossible. The Sith have been extinct for a millennium.
A millennium is a long time to be planning revenge. That would be like if the descendants of Genghis Khan came back now to take revenge on Russia.
Honestly, great analogy there. Great comparison and way of establishing like time. I mean, actually, not even. Has it been 1,000 years since Genghis Khan? No, not even. It'd be more like fucking Harold Hardrada having living descendants. It would be them coming back and getting revenge on the French, which I would support.
When the Sith went extinct, it was clearly at the hands of a dangerous, capable Jedi Order. And it sounds like whatever happened then is part of what created the Republic.
Now this scene here, the CGI doesn't really hold up. It's too smooth, especially on the ground.
This republic that stood for 1,000 years.
That's why the Jedi seem so confident. And yet, the Sith seem pretty sure of themselves too.
At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have revenge.
That's because the Jedi Order has lost a step. Now, they're just an inflexible hierarchy making arbitrary decisions from a literal ivory tower.
The Force is strong with him.
He is to be trained then?
You know, George, for a lot of it, he isn't subtle. But like, that's what I like. He isn't subtle. And it works, right? You don't, honestly, great writing advice here. Look to George Lucas. You do not need to be subtle with themes or the some of the meanings that you are trying to get across. Now, of course, there are some subtleties to George's writing that he does kind of get in there, but for the most part, the vast majority of what he wants to say is he is not at all being subtle about it. He's throwing it at your face like, look, the Jedi are in an ivory tower. Like, this is why they cannot see what is happening right in front of their eyes. They are too high and like, not subtle, but it works so well. It works. Just like, you don't need subtlety all the time.
No, he will not be trained.
Whatever they were before, there's little more than a ghost left of it now. As Dave Filoni says, this sense that the Jedi have lost their mission is what makes Qui-Gon's death so tragic.
What's at stake is really how Anakin's going to turn out. Because Qui-Gon is different than the rest of the Jedi, and you get that in the movie, and Qui-Gon is fighting because he knows he's the father that Anakin needs.
But instead of that father, Anakin gets this one.
The chosen one the boy may be. But agree with your taking this boy as your Padawan learner? I do not.
The rest of the Jedi are so detached and they've become so political that they've really lost their way. And Yoda starts to see that in the second film. But Qui-Gon is ahead of them all. That's a failing for Anakin. He doesn't have the family that he needs. So he's left completely vulnerable.
What will happen to me now?
Palpatine steps into that role of guidance for Anakin, filling his head with a very different idea of destiny.
You are the most gifted Jedi I have ever met. I see you becoming the greatest of all Jedi, Anakin.
I will be the most powerful Jedi ever. I promise you.
And since Anakin's relationships grow increasingly strained, both with the Jedi Council and with Obi-Wan...
That was some shortcut, Anakin. Good job.
Palpatine is the only person...
God, I love Ewan McGregor.
...who truly believes in Anakin's potential.
And so, they've finally given you an assignment. Your patience has paid off.
In fact, he's essentially the only person from the entire Republic who's ever shown him any support.
The Republic's anti-slavery laws are...
The Republic doesn't exist out here.
In many ways, the prequels are the story of an arrogant religion who get a hold of the Messiah and then accidentally hand him over to the devil. The war doesn't...
I love that line. Oh my god, I love that line.
...go well either. What we get to see of the Clone Wars is pretty sick.
Yeah.
There's a reason people wanted more of it. Like, a lot more of it. This is a really good show, by the way. I wonder why it's so... Oh, that's right. But for the story...
Dave Filoni has me so conflicted. Because, again, right, he did make season 7. So he did not have George Lucas there. But also, maybe what was in season 7 was the stuff that Dave and George had worked together before the show got canned by Disney when they had bought it. I don't know, right? That's kind of information I don't think we will ever be privy to. But I mean, and Dave also made Star Wars Rebels, which is also really fucking good. But then he made Ahsoka. And The Mandalorian is falling off. It was good in season 1, and then had a really strong ending for season 2. But everything else about it has sucked. The Book of Boba Fett was pretty bad, though I think it could have been amazing. What else has he made? It's just, maybe, like, oh, The Bad Batch was also really good. But I do think maybe the end was a bit of a fumble, but overall still really good. Maybe he's only good at animation storytelling. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Like, pretty much I have enjoyed, like, for the most, like, I would rate, his lowest animated series, right? So we got Clone Wars, Bad Batch, and Rebels are his 3 Star Wars animated shows. Well, I guess Star Wars Resistance, but I haven't watched it, so I'm not counting it. And that one is also very obviously geared towards specifically just children. Not really. I don't think it's like, I mean, of course, Clone Wars and Rebels is also geared towards children, but it's written in a way that is also accessible that is enjoyable for adults. Star Wars Resistance does not give me the vibes of written for children, but still enjoyable for adults. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I'm still not going to watch it. But, right, so we got Bad Batch, Rebels, and Clone Wars. Now, out of those 3, Bad Batch is the weakest, but I would still give it probably a 7. Low end, if I'm being hypercritical on it, I'd give it a 7. Going off of just the emotions I felt while watching this show, the enjoyment that I had while watching it, and looking back on it, give it like an 8, right? Rebels, I'd probably put it at a 9. They really nailed it in the final season. And then Clone Wars, I grew up with it, and then finally got season 7. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. I do not care. I do not care about the bad parts. No, 10 out of 10. But then his live action shows, I don't think a single I mean, that midpoint in the Ahsoka series, y'all know what I'm talking about when that one character, when that you-know-who came back. 10 out of 10 episodes right there. Those were fantastic. Everything else in Ahsoka, especially the ending for Ahsoka, thought it was bad. Mandalorian, outside of the finale for season 2 and all of season 1, been probably like a 5 or a 6 out of 10 for me. Book of Boba Fett was probably just like 4 or 5 for me. Had good ideas, but they just ultimately did not take them in the direction that I think they should have gone for that show. What else am I missing? I think I covered the Dave Filoni live action stuff that he's had a direct hand in. So, yeah.
Story Lucas was telling, the only things that really matter about the Clone Wars are how they begin and how they end. That's certainly all that matters to Palpatine. You know the funny thing about this?
And yes, thank you for understanding the point that George Lucas was trying to make here.
Promise?
I will not let this republic be split in 2.
He kept it.
Ironic.
There were never 2 sides to the war. Of course, it looks like you have Dooku and the Separatists and Grievous versus the Jedi and the clones and the Republic. But the reality is, all of these people are fighting for the same guy. This guy. This one right here. It was a proxy war. It was a sham. A manufactured crisis that made hypocrites out of the Jedi.
We're keepers of the peace, not soldiers.
Destabilized planets across the galaxy.
Yes, here we are being held hostage.
And extended the range of Palpatine's control. Listen to the music here. This is the birth of the Empire. This is why Palpatine plunged the galaxy into the fog of war and made peacekeepers forget their purpose. Politics. And the Jedi just stood by and watched, seemingly ignorant of the real game being played. They totally missed the importance of... wait, it's here somewhere. Oh, yeah, the Chosen One. The Jedi's fate.
But and then this is where I'm getting to, we circle back to what I was talking about, where George Lucas is not subtle in a lot of things. But in regards to Palpatine's manipulation, I do think he is pretty subtle in writing that, and I love it. And perhaps that is maybe why some of the prequel films fall flat for some people. Because when you look at this, at the original trilogy, there really isn't anything subtle about anything, right? The original trilogy is a simple story, and it does it really, really well. Prequel trilogy has, again, continues some of those blatant, like, in your face themes that George likes to do in his writing. But he also makes it more complicated, as it needs to be. And I think maybe for some people that watched it were so used to just everything that George writes to be pretty blatant, and maybe the mix of the more subtle things into the in your face stuff, maybe that didn't work for me. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out the hate for the prequel trilogy as a kid that, you know, grew up with the prequel trilogy, so could never understand the hate it got. Like, some of the dialogue is very stiff. I can give you that. But, like, the overall story being told in episode 3, that's fantastic.
It is inextricably connected to Anakin's. And who is the only person he trusts? Not them.
My trust in them has been shaken.
But they don't see this. They don't see a lot of things.
Blind we are.
They kind of look like idiots, honestly.
Chancellor Palpatine, Sith Lords are our speciality.
They don't notice when Palpatine uses Anakin to siphon their power away.
Oh, I love this scene because Hayden just silent acting by Hayden here. Jessica's scene.
And
That's
when they
perfect.
finally discover the truth,
No, we don't get to see it all.
Lord?
they rush in a very un-Jedi-like manner.
You're going slowly on the left.
Taking now. No, Anakin, no!
They just assume that it's going to go the same way it did 1,000 years ago. And the Jedi Council's rejection of Anakin
You are on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of master.
What?
comes back to haunt them. When Palpatine activates Order 66, the Jedi who scoffed at the idea of the Siths returning from extinction are annihilated in a matter of minutes, most of them never knowing how deep their failure truly went. And now, the path was clear for Palpatine to become Emperor.
With thunderous applause.
He promises the galaxy
Purity and continuing stability.
although we get to see the fates of those who Palpatine previously promised security to.
Lord Sidious promised us peace. We only want...
Palpatine's final victory is almost unmatched in its scope. Revenge of the Sith is like a Renaissance painting of Judgment Day, where the Republic's political and spiritual powers crumble into nothing. And its hero tries to murder his wife before crossing swords with his brother and being consumed by wrath.
You were my brother,
This guy gets it. This guy gets it.
Anakin.
And when it's all over, Palpatine swoops into hell like the Angel of Death, and Darth Vader is born. As the last person in the galaxy who still believes he has any good in him dies. Who is Palpatine's competition exactly? Satan? Because that's basically who Palpatine is. He dragged the most promising Jedi down to the fires of hell, returning him to the state of slavery he was born in, as a machine with a skull where his face used to be.
And I'm telling you, this finale, it's unbelievable how tepid contemporary art seemed compared to the passionate quality of this finale. So you have this like huge, like it's like romantic nature painting, apocalyptic landscape of the lava. Lucas crosscuts the destruction of the Senate chamber, and you have the destruction of industry going on. And then after all these horrors, it is so beautiful. I'm saying, my God, nothing in the last 30 years in any of the arts has been produced as emotionally compelling and significant as the finale of Revenge of the Sith.
Damn right.
In other words, the only thing that eclipses the scope of Palpatine's villainy is the scope of Star Wars itself. Thanks for watching. All your comments have been
I like this video, if you could not tell. Oh, I want to watch more videos like this. These are videos I kind of watch on my own time when I have run out of others when I'm caught up on like the deep stuff that I watch, the Critical Role, Campaign 3 stuff that I watch. When I'm caught up on all that stuff, I'll watch these videos and stuff. But this is a great video. 10 out of 10 analysis. I loved it. Let me know your thoughts down below. If you guys want to see more videos like this. And yeah. Peace.